Story 1. Knowing that things will be different, maybe in a couple of hours, maybe tomorrow, next week, or in a few months. Eventually, things will change. Story 2. Life is a roller coaster. There will be highs and lows. Sometimes the dips and valleys last a while, but I know that it is worth it to get through them because there will be another high. Story 3. I have struggled with depression over the years, but I have many things I want to accomplish in my life and people I want to share those experiences with. Whenever the topic of suicide or self-harm arises, I always express that I am not interested in that because I have important goals to pursue, and it is true. Story 4. I have a girlfriend whom I have been with for over 6 years. When I think about what I would be leaving behind, it is always the thought of my cat looking for me, not knowing where I went or when I will be back, and not understanding that I am gone that breaks my heart the most. Story 5. The thought that I will never know if I will wake up tomorrow morning is unsettling. Nothing can top the worst day of my life when I attended my mother's funeral at 20 years old last year. Now, I celebrate and use every day I am given to accomplish at least one meaningful task. Story 6. Humor is my way of coping. When I start joking around and trying to make others laugh, it's because I am dealing with issues that I can't express. Laughter is the best way I manage difficulties. Story 7. Today, during the worst part of my day at work, I sang the Sesame Street theme song in my head, which seemed to help. Story 8. I love baseball. Even when my team is not playing well, it is still awesome. So, when everything else is disappointing, baseball is fantastic. Story 9. I have a sentimental reason and a darkly humorous one. Sentimental, my cat Suki. She is a sweetheart who stays by my side whenever I'm struggling. During one of my darkest moments, I was crying, and she stood beside me. I promised her, I will never leave you alone, Suki. I will not let her down or break my promise. The darkly humorous reason comes from a podcast I enjoy, God Awful Movies. One of the hosts, Eli Bosnick, mentioned that during his darkest moments, when his suicidal tendencies are most pronounced, what keeps him going is the thought that those people haven't taken that step yet, so he won't either. He was referring to extreme Christian nationalists who create the bad films that the podcast reviews, but it was inspiring to me. There are extremists and fans of certain controversial figures who believe they are making a positive impact, and as long as they continue, I feel compelled to keep going too. As Eli said, them first, then me. Story 10. My wonderful girls who look up to their mother the most in this life. I couldn't do that to them. Even on the worst days, I know I am better off here on this earth because I know for a fact that not one person can care for and love them the way I can. I was meant to be their biggest cheerleader in life, and some days that is enough. Story 11. My husband is suicidal. I don't have a choice but to keep the light and positivity. Journaling has helped me vent and let my thoughts leave my mind. It's freeing. Story 12. I have been doing this for years. I pick myself up and give myself a pat or a pep talk to keep moving. I don't have any other choice, and I learned the hard way that people aren't always there for you. Story 13. Most of my life, it was my children. I had them young and lost one 8 years ago. I am now sharing a residence with one who is 65 and still working part-time. Even at my lowest, which was not because of them but for other reasons, I could not bear the thought of losing my only parent role in their lives. Their father had abandoned us when they were still babies. They were my future and, in their own way, kept me going. Story 14. I cannot die before my mother. I cannot leave her all alone. Once she is gone, I do not care if I die at that point. Story 15. I do not have a sufficient life insurance plan to ensure my family is taken care of in my absence. My children and my husband depend on me. Story 16. It used to be my dog, because who would love her like I do if I'm gone? Now it's my children. Who else will show them the best things in life? Story 17. The uncertainty of the afterlife, at least while I am here, feels challenging and difficult. Story 18. I have struggled with depression for many years. Here are some things that keep me going. I motivate myself because, at the end of the day, it will be me who is there for myself. My parents also inspire me, and I want to help them as they grow older. Not all of us are fortunate enough to be well off in life. This last thought is somewhat of a double-edged sword. I know that when things get tough, it is only temporary, but I also understand that the challenges will return. Depression is like a roller coaster. What goes up must come down and vice versa. Story 19. I saw a man walking on the street who looked sinister while wearing a neat jacket. I started following him out of curiosity, thinking silly things about his ethnicity. He was walking to a convenience store, and I followed him until I reached the McDonald's and gas station area. I felt a sudden surge of anxiety, thinking he might not talk to me. I went forward and caught up to him. I said, "Hello, I'm anonymous. Nice to meet you. What's your name?" He replied, "Anonymous." I asked him about his nationality, and he said he was Hawaiian. I mentioned that I thought he looked Asian, to which he replied that they were somewhat similar nationalities. I asked his age and then left. I'm crying as I post this right now. That's what gets me going. Story 20. The affection of my little bird helps me a lot. I am also focusing on what is going well in my life. There may not be much, but at least there are some positive things. Story 21. Viewing adversity as an opportunity can lead to significant growth. Some of the greatest experiences in my life emerged from challenges. Additionally, taking time to seek out and enjoy the small things that bring happiness is essential. Story 22. Exercise allows me to be in the moment and forget about problems for a while. It also produces happy chemicals in the brain. Story 23. My child, first of all, second chances are for those who are living. I strive to see what unfolds. Life is an adventure, and what is an adventure without some setbacks? I say this after experiencing many challenging life events, such as being unexpectedly fired, going through a divorce, leaving a toxic relationship, and dealing with deaths in the family. I do my best to stay positive, though. Story 24. Finding the next great thing. Plant leaf is about to open. Songbirds are singing. A rainbow appears. Sometimes you have to look for your next moment of happiness. Other times you need to create it by being kind to others, even when you are feeling low. Story 25. We get to be here, not have to be here. No matter how bad things get, there is nothing better to do. The alternative is nothing. Story 26. I see people who are in a worse condition and feel grateful for what I have. Never compare yourself to those who are better off. Story 27. Being upset is a normal and healthy reaction to difficult situations. It will diminish as your circumstances improve, and most challenging situations are temporary. Story 28. The hope that a better day will come soon, one that brings me joy I have yet to feel, adds to my experience in an unknown way I have not encountered before. Story 29. I remind myself that my issues are nothing new. With time and effort, as much as I can manage given the situation, what is tough today is yesterday's lesson learned, and I move forward. Story 30. Donald Trump is 79 years old, which means statistically he could pass away at any moment. This thought really helps me when I am feeling down. Story 31. I have dogs that need to eat. I would prefer not to die and have them resort to eating my face for nourishment. Additionally, I still need to complete the new Assassin's Creed game. Story 32. I keep telling myself it's a phase that I'm going through and it will pass eventually. When I was unemployed, even on my worst days, I would say someone is going to have to hire me eventually. And guess what? They did. Story 33. Fear of dying and the idea of a fiery afterlife are the only reasons I'm still here. Otherwise, I would have been gone years ago. Story 34. Annoying stubbornness and a general sense of curiosity about what happens next after you've already dealt with the worst day of your life. Story 35. As a suicide survivor, I was found by my mailman in cardiac arrest 36 hours after intentionally committing suicide alone on New Year's Eve. I had to learn to be grateful for all the good, as well as all the trauma and negative outcomes in daily life on my own. Choosing to live for yourself, out of pure love for life and joy in the small, beautiful moments and details that occur dozens of times a day, is how I survive. I am absolutely grateful for my second chance at life while acknowledging that there will always be daily challenges. mental health triggers, and stress. However, none of these things is worth being miserable, hateful, or living in regret or despair ever again. Punishing myself and others with negativity is not a way to live in this incredible world where anything is possible. And so many hopes and dreams can be accomplished simply by choosing to be grateful for living and doing what makes you truly feel happy. Joy and hope will always win over negativity if you make them your focus. Story 36. My cat and dog, Lando and Chorizo, are my small extended family who are very supportive of me. I keep going because my furry companions need me, and the love they give makes it all worth it. Story 37. My children keep me motivated and working at my current level. Without them, I would likely be an over 50 bartender in Key West, struggling to make a living during the day because I would be too inebriated to handle the night shifts, managing my diabetes and reflecting on my life's choices. Story 38. The One Piece. This amazing story is an epic adventure filled with tragedy and comedy. I have been reading it for over 15 years. I have experienced ups and downs with it, and it has been a constant part of my life. Story 39. Depression affects many of us who have endured severe abuse. I lean on the light within me and live for my family and friends, as I am a source of strength for most of them. I do not have the luxury of giving up, as my absence would cause too much destruction. Story 40. My two nieces and nephew always amaze me with how low life can get, but just being around them makes me feel at peace. Story 41. Stubbornness. Orneriness. Call it what you will, but this great big chip forms on my shoulder when times get tough, and it says, I'm tougher than anything life can throw at me, and that's the truth. Story 42. Lately, cannabis has kept me going along with small moments of happiness from completing household chores. Other than that, sometimes it is good to just feel your emotions every once in a while. The world is not the best it has been, and there is a lot to be concerned about on top of managing everything day to day in your personal life. My wife tells me to take it one step at a time and that you can only handle what you can handle. When I can't manage it, I just cuddle my dog or go for a walk. I hope this helps. Hang in there, comrade. We are near the bottom of the pit, or at least approaching it, and we will regroup to climb ourselves out. Story 43. The fear of messing up the attempt is that I will be fully aware of everything happening around me but unable to do anything, becoming a constant burden to those around me, especially since there aren't many people around now. Story 44. There is always a new album I am looking forward to, a book I want to read, a new season of a TV show I am interested in, or a place I want to visit. Story 45. To quote Kevin Smith, no matter how dark things get, no matter how bleak things seem, I don't want to miss the next Marvel movie. Story 46. I have high anxiety. Tough situations happen often, and I tend to worry over the tiniest things. What generally helps me stay grounded is remembering how insignificant I am, along with everyone else on this earth, in the grand scheme of our universe. We are nothing but a speck of dust, and that's probably generous. Story 47. The fact that when life gets tough, it always gets better afterwards. It's just how it is. You gain experience and you are always better after whatever tough situations you go through. This is how we grow, I think. Story 48. For me, it's watching movies in my room like the introvert I am. Movies lately are just about the only thing that brings me joy. Story 49. It's either life or death, and I don't consider taking my own life, so I'll choose life. Life isn't meant to be good all the time, so knowing that, the bad is somewhat expected. Also, I believe that things are going to get better. Story 50. My wife and 3 children give me purpose. Times get tough, but I must keep moving forward. My kids need to see, feel, and live through these experiences, and know it is possible to keep going, no matter how tough it gets. Story 51. Curiosity. I want to find out what happens next. Besides, if life gets too tough, I can withdraw my money and go somewhere nice. If I want to leave this earth, it won't be in a poor place, but on a beautiful beach overlooking the Pacific. Story 52. To be honest, my cat is the only reason I am still living on Earth. I say this as someone who has openly discussed my previous suicide attempts. I also cannot afford therapy at the moment, Story 53. I was hesitant to take any drastic actions. There was a time when I considered it, but I am relieved that I didn't. Story 54. I think of fantasies. When things become overwhelming in reality, I imagine my ideal partner from an anime. It helps me, as strange as it may seem. Story 55. My two daughters. I want to be around as long as I can to protect and provide them with a better childhood and life than I had. Story 56. My life has had significant lows, and I have overcome them. So I believe I will continue to overcome whatever challenges come my way. Additionally, music helps. Story 57. Life could be worse. I think about my problems and then realize that they are nothing compared to what is happening in other countries right now. Story 58. Honestly, coffee is the best part of my day. It usually goes downhill from there, but I love that first cup of coffee in the morning. Story 59. Life itself. If you are not enjoying it to the fullest potential, including the present moment, then you are already diminishing. Story 60. Knowing I went through a lot and managed to overcome it all to build a stable life of my own. Also, loud music and a dance party. Story 61. My senior dog has grown up with me, and I refuse to fail her. What keeps me going is knowing that one day she will have everything she has ever dreamed of. Story 62. My business drives me as a microlocks and sisterlocks loctician in Malta. The effort to create awareness of my business motivates me. Story 63. My best friend battled cancer for 18 months before passing away. She persevered through immense challenges, fighting for a cure. I was with her every step of the way until her final labored breath. She wanted to live until the very last moment. The least I can do is appreciate each new sunrise. Story 64. At my worst and lowest point, an overwhelming feeling suddenly came over me that I wanted not only to live but to enjoy all the beauty around me, no matter how small. It was almost an anger that someone and the situation they had caused could have so much control over my emotions. Then, I decided to fully embrace the idea of fake it till you make it. Story 65. I complained about it out loud. Fortunately, I have people who care about me. When I feel really lonely due to my mental illness, I pray and go for a run because it helps clear my mind. I then work on what is bothering me. I currently feel hopeless about work and school, but I am seeking help from professionals. My professors and employers know I'm struggling, and now I'm looking for a therapist. Story 66. I have people I need to outlive so I can laugh at their misfortunes or deaths and eventually disrespect a few graves. I cannot just give up and let my life fall apart. I can rest and regroup, but at my core, I am petty and vengeful. The best revenge I can achieve is living an unbothered, happy, and stable life. Story 67. That's the only thing I know, living. I just keep doing it no matter how difficult it becomes. And trust me, I understand difficulty. I am just scared of the unknown. For some, moments of difficulty could turn into something precious. So, there is hope and sustenance. Two things more than nothing after death. For me. Story 68. The reminder that I can be so much more, that every day is another opportunity to be a better person and rise above negativity. Story 69. The little moments like a good conversation, music, or something that makes me laugh matter. Knowing that tough times are temporary and that growth occurs in the struggle keeps me moving forward. Story 70. If I were alive during almost any time or place in history, I would likely face increasingly difficult tasks to maintain basic comfort or simply survive. Just because we can access the negative news of the world every day within 5 minutes does not mean we should feel worse for it. Those who lived long before us did so with blissful ignorance. Ice cream is delicious. Laughing with friends is wonderful. And discovering beautiful new pets from around the world will never become tiresome. Story 71. I watched both my parents experience deep heartache when they lost their mothers. I couldn't bear to put them through losing their son. I have my nieces, and I want to be able to watch them grow up. I still have many friends and places that I want to visit one day. Story 72. My family sets the standard for how a man should treat a woman, especially for our daughter. I want her to be able to recognize dishonesty from afar and deal with difficult people. I won't always be there for her. Story 73. My own rescue dogs and cats and working with local animal rescues bring me purpose. People can be disappointing, and there aren't many who would care if I live or die. Animals, on the other hand, have no hidden agendas. They simply seek the love we promised them when we domesticated them. That's where I choose to invest my energy when everything else feels overwhelming. Story 74. I don't want to be the loser of the family and disappoint my older siblings or parents. Feels like it's going that way, though. Story 75. The true joy I experience from my relationship with God is that it does not require anyone or anything else. Story 76. My cat is very important to me, and I want to ensure she has the life she deserves. When money is tight, she eats before I do, enjoys better food than I do, and receives new toys ahead of me. I chose my path and accept the consequences of my choices. She happened to be at the shelter when I decided to adopt. It would be unfair to hold her accountable for being part of my life. Story 77. The only thing I don't want is for my body to be transported by flight to my home. I'm just waiting to get home, arrange my affairs, secure the financial future of my family and sibling, and then end my life. I'm willing to wait until I get all these things done, but it's getting more difficult each day. Story 78. A few years ago, I had a dream where different versions of myself at various ages met at my childhood home. We sat around a fire and talked to each other. I remember sitting next to an older version of myself, probably in his 50s. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but I knew he was communicating something because I could see his mouth move. For some reason, when he was talking to me, I felt a sense of peace, as if no matter what happens, everything will be all right. I choose to believe in that sentiment when times get tough. Story 79. I'm bipolar, so I have experienced several major depressions where my children were the only thing keeping me going. That is significant. On a day-to-day level, who doesn't want to push on until the next pizza, Chinese food, fast food, or even toast and tea? Food and music are life. Story 80. Things I enjoy honestly include my hobbies and interests. It may seem trivial, but when I am having a tough day, I think about a video game I am looking forward to releasing this year or an artist I like dropping an album next month. A new movie I want to see is debuting this weekend. These thoughts remind me that there are better days ahead filled with joy and excitement. Story 81. The knowledge that the feelings I had in the past are no longer how I feel currently suggests a reason to move forward. Story 82. Remembering that nature and the planet are such beautiful things to experience is truly inspiring. While it may sound cliché, the blend of chaos and uniformity is always fascinating and fills me with gratitude for being alive and able to enjoy it. Story 83. This may sound corny, but I keep going because I have people who rely on me. I also want to be the man my late mother always said I was, despite never really feeling that way personally. I have her medal in my car hanging from the rearview mirror, and I ask for guidance every day. Story 84. For me, it is the small wins, like a good cup of coffee or a friend's message, that keep me pushing through tough days. Story 85. Two things. First, when I was a boy, my religious education teacher said that suicidal thoughts were the devil trying to lead you to hell. Second, I won't give people the satisfaction. Illegitimi non carborundum, as they say. Story 86. My family, and more specifically my son, are important to me. I feel I must set an example and remain strong. Everyone has moments of difficulty, but I have endured worse. I want to be the father he can look up to. Story 87. I remind myself that billions of people on Earth would gladly take on whatever I am dealing with and switch places with me because of the relative wealth, leisure, and opportunity we have in the developed world. Story 88. Well, I survived my father fighting cancer and then dying after 10 years. My longest relationship ended when I was cheated on. My mother and I refused to talk to each other for 4 years, and I was diagnosed and treated for leukemia. All of this happened before I turned 30. I believe I've experienced some significant low points in life, and if it isn't worse than those, then I'm doing pretty well. Story 89. Do you know of the game Grumps? They keep me going when life gets tough for sure. They just play video games on YouTube and make each other laugh. They are really funny. Story 90. When I open the refrigerator to eat due to stress and hear my guinea pigs squeak, I feel compelled to stay and give them treats. They know that the sound of the fridge opening means snacks. Story 91. I may sound callous, but aside from extreme grief, loss, or injury, I feel troubled for those who constantly complain that life is hard. I take pride in my ability to endure and always find a way to succeed, even when the odds are against me. Put me anywhere on this earth, and I will triple my worth. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.